So I want to come in here tonight and I want to really give some education. I really want to share some knowledge, hopefully some perspective that's going to help all of you. It's June. Some of you are coming off TABC where you got a chance to be in front of college coaches. Others of you did not. And that's okay. And I think, there's other things to think about. Obviously, you got July's open period. But in general, I want to talk about college basketball. I want to talk about how you get to college basketball and the things that go into this. I got a guest coming, Coach Van Lanningham from the Uncommon Camps, who does an amazing job, former college coach himself. And we're just going to share some wisdom, share some things. I want you to stay for the whole thing if you're watching this live. I guess even at the replay, I got a special gift for you at the back end of this, but you got to stay for the whole thing to see it because I want you to get the education as well. Look, a lot of us are very undereducated, very uninformed about what it takes to be a basketball player at the collegiate level, no matter what division that is. And I think that it's really necessary for people to see this in the right light. We need to understand the approach on the court. Who do you have to be? I think we need to understand the approach when you get off the court. There's things you need to be doing on the back end. This isn't just, I'm the man and I come and I show up and I kill it and this and that. There's so much that goes into it. Like, I wish I could have shown some of my workouts that go on for these players right now that are prepping in June to get ready for July. We're working our tails off. Like, the cardio is increasing, the difficulty is increasing, the competitiveness is increasing, so that by the time they get to July, all this is easy. All this is easy. And then on top of that, a lot of them are also doing the work off the court, which we're going to get into with Coach Van Lanningham when I let him in here in a second. But I want you to be very excited about what you're about to get from this. Like I said, I've done this for 20 years. I've helped over 100 kids get into college through basketball, scholarships, non-scholarships, everything of that nature, Power Fives, all of that. So I've seen every level of this, and I've seen what applies and what doesn't apply to each level. Same with Coach Van Lanningham. And we're just here to basically give you a gift, right? Besides the gift I'm going to give it to Dan, but a gift of knowledge, a gift of perspective that you really need to take and to use and leverage. So let me let Coach in here real quick. There he is, Coach V, the man.
I'm glad I was waiting for this. I'm serious. I was waiting for this video, Coach. I mean, first let me say it's great to have you back on board. I mean, I got some college coaches coming out and on staff, but it's always good to have. I always like to have somebody outside of the space, whether they're a really good select coach or they're really good at player development, because you kind of said it before we get into some of the questions that you had. Like, to me, the most important thing and misconception and some of the problems of just people in general, man, and I'm going to just call it like I see it is, and I told this to Coach Taylor, I said, look, man, everybody's got their lane. What is your experience? Now, if you're a great strength coach, then I'm not saying don't give advice on recruitment or help a kid, but your job is to get them strong as shit, and you need to find a strength coach that's going to help you achieve being basketball strong. If you're a trainer and that's your primary background of passion and love, the higher level trainer, I tell parents, do their research. Are you getting better, man? Don't blame me. Do you always feel, because they go to different trainers. So for me, my platform is Uncommon, and we're going to discuss anything you want, all the questions you asked, but it's not, I keep saying this over and over. I mean, I've been pushing to make Uncommon more common because it's helped a lot of players and coaches, because my background is over 2 decades of coaching college at every level. But that made me a better coach. I don't understand. I was the same. When I was D3 or D1, my investment was the same. It's different rules, different understanding, different level of talent, which gives me the expertise and the experience to help players find and target fits and have an understanding, like you said, of the process that goes into each level of basketball recruitment. That's what I do. And I get real when I come back to San Antonio, because I don't have as many things in Houston and Dallas that kind of parlays. I'm still a San Antonio guy. That you can stay in your lane. There's a lot of people getting help kids, and we stay in our lane. And then now they're getting the right help from the right person, and I think that's what I'm all about. I've never had an ego with anybody, in the city, and I just I love working with guys like you, because I mean, I'm very cautious, and we've talked about that when I see they're really in it for the kids, and I'm going to say that I know my platform is it's had results, but it's different. And the reason it's different, what I do is not uncommon to college coaches. It's easy to
I agree.
We'll start with it's easy to trick parents with thousands of dollars on recruiting services and getting Bobby recruited, and how it's what you don't know. My platform that signs so many kids and help coaches find fits is not uncommon to what I've created it for. It's designed for the college coach and the player that's serious, even if he's not an elite varsity player yet. Like you said, there's time.
Yeah. No, 100%. And that's why, I've come to your camps and helped. I for those that don't know, I get probably approached by some kind of recruiting service every 2 weeks saying, "Hey, I know the community you have, I know the players you have, so can you promote our services?" And I have to put them through a strict filter. Because I'm not going to put any of my players or any of my circle in a place to, like you said, dump thousands of dollars into something that's not even legitimate for them or is not going to get them results. Because when you come to my program, I expect for us to get you results. So same thing. So coach, I really appreciate that. That's very true. And you said it, you hit it right on the nail. You were a college coach for 2 decades. You know what I mean? Like, you recruited these guys. You know what I mean? You know what it's like when they're going through it, when they're ready, when they're not ready, when it's more of a behavior thing or a character thing than it is, hey, the kid can shoot the heck out the ball. He can handle it. There's not a basketball issue. There's a character issue. Or it's the other way around. It's a great kid, but he just doesn't shoot it well enough for a D2 level or whatever that may be, right? So I really love that. That's why I've always partnered with you. That's why I wanted to do this with you as well. Heck, that's why I let my son come to you and we take your advice, right? We did the film breakdown. My son will be at the camp that we'll talk about here in a couple minutes. Really good stuff. But I want to get into this, coach,
First
because
and
like I
foremost,
said, I wanted.
about technology, we talked about that. Can you see the bottom there? How do I get rid of that? It says share video. I want to
Oh,
make
you're
sure
good.
you're getting there.
You're good,
Everything's
coach.
good?
I see you. You're
All
good.
right.
You're loud and clear. We can see you. Everything of that nature.
Okay.
So,
So,
um, let's
okay, go ahead. Sorry,
let's
coach.
go here. My first question is, and obviously there's a lot of people doing a lot of good. There's some people doing a lot of wrong, and there's in betweens, right?
And
What is
let me
the
wait,
stuff
let me
that you?
preface that because I mean I'm going to be very bold and candid on this because San Antonio needs to feel. I just got back from Houston. There's 51 signups. I have a group entry. I'm not going to talk about the camp yet because we're talking about recruitment, and that's my expertise. And so I've grinded and grinded. And one thing I haven't done is just straight use my relationships because that doesn't do anything for the player that's willing to grow. Yes, that's what I 7 years ago call people. But your first question was like, I think you said major mistakes when you sent me some things the guy just called for parents and players to know what today's recruitment, correct?
Yeah.
And so for me, I mean, without going again, and I'm going to try to stay really on point. First and foremost, the biggest misconception, and again, that's why I said, know who's advising you. And I am not going, what is their background? If they run a great tournament locally, then that's fine. You know, their tournament is well run. Your games are going to be on time. The officials are legit. You're never going to make everybody happy. Then, okay, you can enter that tournament. You know, this trainer's prepared. You can do your research. That's why I always say what I didn't use, what I haven't used, that I think is bucked me, and I'm still grinding because I just want to make uncommon so more common because it's the only way. That's my whole background, 30 years, and it's been proven for the players who've gone the uncommon approach. There's no tricks, there's no agenda, unless you're D1. In San Antonio, there may be 5 D1 kids right now. They don't need help. Services, like you said, and it's weird that I'm kind of boxed in because I do help players after event with a different way. I help them, like you said, evaluate straight through college coaches lens what you are, what you're not, and things like that. And the reason why is 80% of kids that get it from a college, you can start to block out noise. When I say noise, maybe that's straight from the source. Now you can go to your trainer and grow. Okay, this is what they look for. I mean, that's just education. That's what I've created. Exposure is easier to sell. There's $1 billion country. So the mistakes I think players are with what I do with Uncommon, and the reason I host summer camps is you must know your market. Doesn't mean if you're younger, I love 2027, so you see all this potential. My job, once I find them, if I put them in my program, like I'm driving everything that's going to keep them from D1 early. That's behind the scenes. I was a D1 coach, so, and a lead coordinator. So I'm like really striving. If everybody in San Antonio is telling me D1, well, until you got a D1 offer,
You're not D1.
they're not D1, they're not D1, but also I really believe this, right? You got to know the market, and it's what you don't know. When I say know the market, I shake my head when I see players locally. Because we're about to run a local camp. This market is not Chicago or Houston. It's not a knock. So if a kid's averaging 20 at San Antonio and they've never recruited a kid, and they're saying you're D1, he's a kid. Social media, if he hears that every day from a director or somebody, again, what's their background, parents? The ones that can really stay the course. That's what Uncommon is if you know the market. I'm not saying you can't get there. Some parents don't like that, but it's been great for players at a younger age or stage. If you're D3 and you want to go to D2, here's what the minor differences are. Here's what a scholarship is. Knowledge is power. Like again, same thing with strength. So I'm ongoing. If you look at my testimonials of the kids that have made it to those higher levels, they've started with that kind of evaluation and assessment. I can't make everyone, but at least it's a deliverable where you get both.
Yeah.
You got to know what market you're in. From a credible standpoint, the hard part for me is most parents don't want me to put the level of play of a kid. My level comes from 3 or 4 coaches. You've worked my camps with no ego. Even though I've done it, I try to get 3 college coaches that are on staff without guessing. And in that small college intense environment, at the end, I have a pretty accurate assessment of where they're currently at. That actually keeps them on boards. And then I have a pretty good assessment of what they need to do moving forward if they want to move that level up. The other one is 20-something years of somebody calling me. I don't care what market. If Tim Springer called me back in the day and I didn't know, I'm just using that because we're here. Hey, this guy's D1. They don't know I'm at West Texas A&M. I got everything in the world. I'm the lead coordinator with one scholarship. My job's on the line. I'm researching him, and if he ain't even D3, I ain't never burned a bridge. Thanks, Coach. I ain't never asking Coach Springer for a lead again, ever. But I ain't gonna burn a bridge. That's how you start to whittle down. So what I've created that's been also blessed is I probably have about 300, not over-exaggerating, followers in that D2, D3, NAI, JUCO range because they've gotten the right leads, and it's led to a full scholarship, and it's led to players playing well at a fit. So you got to know your market. You've got to know. When I say the market don't lie, the other thing is I say, okay, parents, are they sending you pictures like with you holding the ball? If you think you're D1, because we got a D1 invite to Corpus Christi A&M. I know all the coaches. I know them. I'm saying, okay, if they wanted you, like when I was at Texas State, you had a Texas State uniform. So I can tell them what to look for, just like you could tell them on footwork.
Yeah.
And so that has really helped players increase their own recruitment. I don't recruit players. I get players look. So that's one misnomer. I think the biggest thing that's helped my players that's come through this platform early, and people don't know I run a year-round program for players, but I never sell my soul on exposure. Logan Gonzalez has been in my program. I've done everything that Logan needs to do as a big guard that increases that. It's not to do his jump shot. When I first got him, it was a jump shot. Still a good shooter. They ain't recruiting me. Logan has a much better understanding of what he has to do to continue to stand out, what they ask about when there's a big wing. They already know that's easy to assess. And he's growing his game. His game has grown, which has increased his recruitment. There's a local example of Uncommon, but know your strengths.
And with tangible things too. That's what I like. You know what I mean? Like with my son, you gave him 3 tangible things to put into practice, put into game. And then now all of a sudden he's actually a better player. He may not be college ready yet, but now, like you said, hey Tim,
he's starting to gain interest. And again, I know the market, and the parents have been very patient with not pushing. Let me give kids fresh with sophomore. Some people are pushing profiles, and paying for stuff, and they're not even elite varsity yet. Now you're paying for exposure for it. So you got to call it that because that's an easy sell. Companies like you talked about that are random that don't know. I mean, I know my players personally like you do. If I work with them, I don't work with them unless they attend a camp or a high school coach and they finish on top, or a college coach lists them as college level potential. Like, that's how I make calls. It's genuine. The foundation's at least there. Now we get to work on nothing to do with the profile. That's the easiest way to share leads. I have those, but I ain't a profile pusher. I never signed a profile. I signed players. So the biggest thing is, I think a kid, when they get to that point, you got to know your strengths. You got to know what those 5 coaches are looking for, because these parents say, how many coaches are going to be there? So you'll see in my summer camp, it may not be filled because I'm not selling ice cream, coach. I'll say 3 or 4 that are working so I can get a real, because they're not finished product yet. It's uncommon. So my camp is designed for 3 parts in the summer. Spring is different. You've worked, it's to learn. It's to expose your bad habits. Expose bad habits that can be fixed still. That is going to, and then put you on the right radars in July. If that's D3 and AI, that keeps you on boards. That's the uncommon summer camp. So that's because if you know your strengths and then you know what to stand out, and then you leave knowing, damn, I got exposed on help, defense, communication. You ain't tricking college coaches. So the credible source for me of growing this is that's what a summer layout is designed for. So in July, I'm still getting the right eyes on him, but hopefully that player now leaves and he maybe does. We know it's a longer process, like in training, maybe one thing at a higher level. And so I go back to Logan, and what did I say, Logan? So how many parents would do this? But look, it's benefiting the kid. And again, that's my experience. I'm not I said, don't shoot one time in the first game. I don't want you to shoot one time. I said, they're not dumb. I think I said, rebound the shit out of it. Because big guards that rebound, even if you're quiet, you're a good kid, that's a motor stat. The portal, they're scared of a motor. If you do that, and then he did it, and they trusted it. And now I said, every time you get like an 8 or 9 rebound game, I don't even care if he makes a shot. That's already out there everywhere. Now he's getting other people pushing him. But now it's become a habit of his because he knows big guards that rebound, you're going to move up to D2 or go from D3 to D. It's a motor stat. Yeah. It's what I looked at. It's what I've had kids sign for. If they have any question marks, I say, check how many rebounds so-and-so has. You can't get 9.2 rebounds from the wing by not being a competitor. So little things like that he knows, and that's his advantage. So, and then the biggest thing I think, and it was a blessing. Look at my up to this, if you can even find it. I may post it. Keaton McCaney's a kid that came to one of my camps in the spring. He was late. I mean, and he was trying to shoot out that high post at 6'5" or 6'6". And afterwards, and I could see he was, and I know Coach Davis, who runs Dallas Showtime. He's the head coach at Red Oak that sent him to the camp. And after one camp, I got him to the side. I said, you are a elite rebounder and defender. What the hell are you doing shooting high post? I wasn't with them up till then. So at that point late, I got to be real candid. Come to the next camp, and you are a scholarship defender and rebounder. I have more eyes in my spring camp. And again, I can't prep spring camps. We're going to prep some on Wednesday. They're going to be parts where they can hopefully learn. And but man, Keaton, it ain't rocket science. The next event I got him in, now I got eyes on him. I got my fingers crossed. I can't make him do it. And he put putbacks. Goddamn, he is a big-time rebounder and defender. He had 3 offers within 24 hours. That's not a joke. It's not a trick. He was trying to shoot himself when he had 2 weapons that somebody needed at a high level. And again, he's an all-region kid. He was probably doing that at high school. So what that means in when you say players and mistakes they made, start on your road till you get better. If you want to work with Coach Springer and your jump shot and he's gauging and you're 48%, if you're asking guys to get stronger through contact, that's those lanes. But my lane is, this is what you are, this is what you're not. Do this while you're doing that. There's a long process. So start in your role. If you're a great penetrator, don't get some coaches around and start jacking. Coaches talk to coaches. If you just keep working on your game behind closed doors. But again, what I do People want to know this. Now, I really try to provide what my expertise is, which is having 1 to 2 scholarships a year, and I'm not going to, and won 9 college championships. I'm a part of a Hall of Fame team in Division III, turned around a Division I program, 1 free Coach of the Years at Olu at a startup program, because again, it's about fit, knowing your role, and that's my expertise. I was really good at kind of evaluating talent, coordinating, and putting a piece together and fit. So I have a background there. So you got to, everybody has a role. I sign kids strictly as great defenders. That's what part of my camp. If you're a great defender and in 6 months your jump shot ain't better, then I'm only looking for places that signed a guy at the portal that needs somebody to lock somebody down. Now we got a chance. So kids don't get that, man. Too many kids shoot themselves out of scholarships looking at kids that they're not when they can have a found. And then I think the last thing is the positive these kids got to understand is the ones that don't get discouraged. What I've learned, Coach, in the portal, the process is longer. If you stay the grind, the floodgates come open, and that's when, for me, learning, because I didn't know this is new to me. The last 2 years, kind of mid-April to early June, I've gotten probably half the guys' offers because there's clarity. I encourage kids to stay the course. Keep getting it, but when you're getting in front of eyes, it may be a longer process. I've had kids say, I just want to go to Texas. I said, man, you love the game. You've been doing it. No, you don't have that first call yet. The calls may come 1 month later when rosters change across the country. So if you're serious about it and you're a senior, just know unless you're Division I, it's going to be a longer process. But if you're in that mix to be able to play at some level, keep grinding, keep getting yourself out there, and stay the course. It comes. I've never seen rosters have 4 spots open like that they didn't know they were going to have open after that portal closes or opens. And so that's when I do a lot of matchmaking for parents. And then we'll get to the next deal. I'll be quicker with them. I mean, I know there's a lot of profile companies, and as crazy as it sounds, it's weird for me when I talk to players afterwards, because I have a system where camp by camp I'll build a roster with player cards, but my system really is just to make it easy for a coach to research what they need on the spot, film, transcripts, and all that. A player profile company, they're billion-dollar companies. I've never signed a profile. I always told them it's who's sharing it. That's how I created my site where those recruits are at. Who's sharing it, which I'll take that. I mean, my background, where it's being shared to, and what films are on it. Fit. When I did Cameron Roper, I always told them when you have 20 paint touches and you're guarding shit out of the ball, that's your only chance. You jump shot. Give credit to Cam's mom. They accepted all that constructive stuff. He benefits. Full ride, scholarship, education. But I gave him a little gap. But once those films are on there, I'm targeting teams that play 94 feet. I work both sides. So, and that's the camp. So parents, they don't sign profiles. So when if a company calls you, like I do it differently. I'm putting all the ownership. It's a player-driven platform. I'm behind-the-scenes insight, college coach. As your game grows, I'll share to the right levels, and you always have to understand, that wherever it's being shared to is going to be the reason you gain interest, or that coach says, that kid at Clemens can't play. That's what I did. Well, no, some knucklehead sent it to me, so that knowledge I put on the player. So if you have 5 kids training, I don't know in 4 months who's really getting after it after they leave you and really getting after it anywhere. That kid will probably raise his percentage. You're giving the same effort to all of them. So parents, if a profiles company's calling you and you have no clue where to send it, you can reach out to me. If you have no clue what should be on it, I won't even say no. So if you don't have an understanding of targeted fits and where it should be doing, and because that can hurt a kid. Those companies mass send them daily. It's in that. For me, when I was a coach, it was a junk man. It's just over and over. Johnny with the basketball. So just understand there's more to it than player profile. So, and then I think we talked about everybody has a lane. I mean, I tell parents, research your lane. When you find a great strength coach, you take all the input for basketball specific training. And I'm not Well, why not? Why? If you got 10 voices telling you about recruiting, and I've already had kids in San Antonio been really hurt that come to me the 1 month that I said, where were you? I called you in the fall. I called you when you were a junior. I didn't say you. I ain't dogging nobody. You listened to the wrong voice. I said, what background is theirs? That's what I say. I say if we all stay in our lane, and you find guys that are really elite at what they're doing in their lane, then that's your best chance. And that's where I feel like I've just stayed in my lane. And then I always tell parents, when they leave these buildings bitching about, oh, Johnny don't pass, Johnny, do you really know how to gain exposure, or do you know if you're getting exposed? Because every parent's first question is how many coaches are going to be there. And remember, it's a trick. I just went to a showcase up in Dallas. I'm not naming it. And there may have been 15 to 20, but they sold hundreds of coaches. There was over 200 kids paying, and I'll use this example so they can hear it. And coach, and these kids, man, flew from Mississippi and shit with a dream. I think it's bullshit. I mean, I'm talking about they spend money, man. Sell it. The trick is selling hundreds of coaches in the stands. Well, first and foremost, in those segments, when you're a senior, when you get to that stage, that's why I do it different. And he's half 70% of those or 60% of those kids at that event, which is what I call the money grab. Some of them are wearing pants. That's a disservice. Earrings, headgear. There might have been 2 players from Mississippi or somewhere that actually flew that were all conference JUCO kids, sure, but 6 on the team. And then I asked some kids. He said, I haven't played in 3 years. I've been sitting out. They don't. Yeah. So they're killing those 2 kids. And I was like, if you're going to charge that much and sell that, I get what you're selling, but if you're going to do that, at least in the morning, have a 30 to 45-minute seminar about taking your pants off, about playing, at least structure it right. In my opinion, again, to get a better evaluation, or for coaches to get a better evaluation, and for players to have a better chance that are really there. So that's why I stayed in my lane. When I say I'm not a showcase guy, I have 3 different layers, and that's why, because it's kind of like recruiting services. 80% of those kids, they're not eligible. They're not even eligible. Like I crossed all the T's. I run the smaller events, but it's led to much higher results, less kids. I get it. My pockets ain't filling, but hopefully it's impacting and making more kids take the uncommon. So parents, when you're looking to gain exposure, it's a longer process, but understand just because there's 30 coaches going to be there, and that's what they're selling. When I was at the scholarship levels, we already circled the 7 guys there, that we were watching out of the 200, and there's probably 110 that ain't even playing varsity yet that are screwing it up, jacking shots. So there's why I don't do that. So I say, I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying research those kind of platforms, because if you want to know what the coaches are there, I've already researched Coach Springer's son. I know everything about his motor, his academics, or he ain't circled in my packet. Uncommon's different. Figuring out, give him the roadmap, keep watching them progress, and figure out who's serious so you don't waste money. This ain't a sales pitch for that, but that is, I think, things that you said parents and players need to be aware of that they make, and they don't understand it. I'm not good at accounting, or I'd have to go to class. I mean, it's just a lack of understanding. It's not a lack of, like I said, hurting anybody else or dogging anybody else in this segment.
Yeah, no, well, and I think too, Coach, to add to that, like we know the statistics, right? 1 to 3% of high school kids even get a college scholarship out of everybody, right? Everybody, 1 to 3%. So if you're going to a camp that has 200 kids in it, what's the chance that all 200 of those kids are even in the 1 to 3% or evolving to that 1 to 3%, right? Whereas that's what, and we're going to talk, like you said, we're going to talk about this in a second. Your camp is smaller, and yes, you don't get to drive in a Benz because of it, right? But at the same time, there's a way higher probability that the kids, and some of them may or may not make it, but at least they're on the path, or a couple nuggets away from what they get from your camp to being in that 1 to 3%. And now it's that chance, especially like okay, so you have the camps where the college coaches come and they actually do evaluate these kids, and you have the other ones that prep for these months, right? So when they get to your camps where the college coaches are, they know how to act, how to move, which I think is a
That's
big thing
it.
that's missing.
Like I
That's
said,
what's missing. Parents and
they
players,
know
they don't know how
what
to
they
even
do.
act and move around these coaches.
They know what they
You know what I mean?
do best. They know how to stand out. They know what they do best. They know how to stand out. And they know what the coaches are looking for. And again, my camps sometimes don't feel it. It blows my mind because of the price point and all that. And it blows cut. But at the same time, I'm not changing. But because there are kids that have benefited highly from it, it's because some of them, and I'm being honest, that it's too hard. What's hard to play college? The ones that the ones that have gotten the highest level scholarships, like the D1s, they know that David Punch had like 20. David Punch came to 3 or 4 camps. You could see that when he was a sophomore. They trying to box me in. No, he doesn't need me after that. Once he started figuring out the stuff from Uncommon was going, he blew up. But I didn't. They recruited him, not me. I just know at that level. Now he's playing D1 level. Now you'll see D1 alert. But don't give that credit. So having said that, I mean, he didn't hide from something tough. So in other words, the other thing about that you're saying, I don't really know what you do or don't do or how you play under college duress, which really is going to lead to real interest. That's all everything I've created is under college coaches. Feedback lens, college coach, the mind of a college coach. I always said it's great to be an ex-player. I have 20 something years of ex players at every layer that are coaching high school and all that. Point being is, you don't want to know what an ex-player thinks who played college. I'm not saying that's good as far as recruiting. I mean, they'll help, but you want to. I try to do everything inside the lens, even outside of my no ego with other coaches' input, with all my background stuff, because you're getting them from college coaches. Now, if you're smart, that's just good. That's your advantage with Uncommon when you get into a July, or if you get into a showcase. Even when I get eyes on a kid, I'll remind them via text or on my message board. Remember, 8+ rebounds, or remember, 15 paint within the flow of the game. They're not dumb. Stick to your strengths. Your strengths are your high assisted turnover kid. Just play to those strengths and play really hard. Like what stands out. So I know I've got 4 coaches. People say 4 real coaches looking at a kid, and all I can do is know that he has that walking into a July life period. That's what the summer events are about, is discover kids that are ready. But it'd be easier to fill them if I pushed exposure and I'm gonna get you 1,000 looks, but then I'm done. Remember, go back to 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes. I've wasted 30 years of experience and 20 something with college relationships that have grown. Like I said, my other goal is to grow, because those D2 level, those guys, they don't have the same budget. The rules keep them home longer. So now I think in the spring when they start calling, they need resource. I'm not getting scratched a lot. I've got about 300 more coaches I didn't know, which is awesome, that are looking for a platform with today's issues. So having said that, part of it is what you said. The camp is also a way to really see what you do and don't do. The best kids that really have made it for me. It's okay if you fail. They get their ass kicked my first camp, and they can't make it in the top 9. And in the fall, they're talking better. I see their baldy. There's no tricks. It's the same thing as far as training the kid. And once training at a lot higher level, you're doing them all the same stuff, and you're trying to get them there. But they come back in the fall. Maybe they fall short of the top 9, but I can see it growing. CJ had not. And in the spring, I don't prep shit. In the spring, when I get as many coaches as I can and 4 college coaches on staff, and I make it pretty much invite, we have to be elite varsity. So now they're all elite varsity players. When you get that top 9, that's probably guys at scholarship. But that's that kid that takes 3 times of falling short, and 4 months later I see him. He's grown his game. He ain't hurt and walking out. It ain't fair. It's fair. That's what I tell these guys. I'm going to tell them Wednesday. If you fall short, learn. If you're a 26 or 27, go learn. Call me if you want to. I do a free call with you. I'll go over the college coaches' notes with kids for free to help kids that come to my camp. I said, now take that in. And that's been a blessing. So I just think that what you said already. I've said it again, man. Understanding what you do well, understand what you got to do moving forward in my summer camps, and gaining exposure. If you're in the top 9, yeah, you're going to get on some radars, because that just signals to every college coach that, in all my relationships, that kid either has a motor or the talent, and both are going to end up mattering. The mindset or the skill set, they both end up mattering if you want to get your school paid for. And that's
100%.
what I mean. That's the thing that I think I've tried to create with my camp. So, but hopefully that answered that second question.
No, for sure. So we've kind of been alluding to the camps. Let's talk about this, because we also wanted to bring awareness to that. Obviously, we wanted to educate today, but we want to bring awareness to what you got going on Wednesday. I can tell you that I'm excited. You got your camp, I believe it's 12 to 5 at Mission Concepcion. Is that correct?
It's 25 at Mission Concepcion. And there's 2 things, and hopefully you record this so you can help me get it out there. But there's 2, and this can be select teams or high school teams. The first thing about summer camps that I changed after talking to my guys at Texas State when I went to their team camp, which was great in Houston. I can't do it for everybody because I'm not running a true team camp. But summertime, I don't care if you have. I have a team entry for 7 players from an organization, 25, 20, and it's $350. And I had 4 buddies, some of the best high school 6A programs in Houston, sign up that day. And part of that is they know me, and they always send 5 or 6 kids. But once I added that, it is awesome, because 2 of those guys may need to be start a bigger role next year. They know my camp layouts. They need to figure out what they do and don't do. My camp layouts in summer have. So now, man, Atascocita was cool. I mean, the Atascocita is always top 5. Dave signed his group immediately. I mean, his group was the first one. I mean, he actually sent 10, but 7 got in for $350. That's $50 a player. I don't know what else they're paying, but here's the key: they stay together, they play together, and the coach is there, and they can kind of, after each segment, there's some teaching points.
Yeah.
Now, until your shot gets better, you better help me win that defensive portion. You're my leader. You got. So there's a great little aspect of teaching points. So team entries are available. I still have 2 of those left, and this could be select. It could be an organization that wants to get 7 kids. I don't care. There may be 2 ready for exposure, so you'll get the best of both worlds. But you go to a lot of team camps. I want to grow that, and I still have a vision, being on TABC back in the day as the president on the college, as a college rep, of just starting slow and getting an 8-team camp in my segment, where that coach can take them through every segment and sub based on. I think it'd be really cool. So team entries are part of summer camps, and then individual registration is open. I think there's still over 20 spots, and I'm about determined to get to 48. I'm gonna make calls tonight, tomorrow, Monday, and maybe a couple of teams sign up, because we can host a great event, and there will be you and 3 other college coaches on staff. Right now, one is a Division I young guy who always loves working my camps, so he's always welcome. Coach Caldwell does a hell of a job. Coach JC's Coach Day 2, and now he's got Lamar under Coach Brooks. So again, he knows people. And I always tell Coach Caldwell, man, you know a lot of people, you know what you're doing. If there's 5 kids when you're driving home to San Antonio that you can call 5 powers about, do it. No ego. That's real interest. Like right after that interest, Caldwell could be driving back to Lamar University. And then we have one up the road who's one of the better, Mayor Hart and Baylor. I mean, again, in a local scheme, man, they've been really good. Man, and I always look for one JC coach, so it's a nice balance. So I'm still working that last spot. And so that's how we'll do that. And from 12 to 5, you can go to uncommonbasketball.com. You don't have to have an invite to summer camps. If you're 25, 26, and 27, and you want to learn what it takes, I mean, you want a real chance to work closely with college coaches in a college atmosphere and leave with some support and help, then this is a great camp for you. This is a great camp for you. I mean, it's a nice alternative to a 3-game showcase where you go hoop. I believe in it. Like, it's a great alternative for kids that are serious. I've seen kids that have nothing, that barely could play. I mean, that were not even elite varsity, end up with D2 or low major offers if I saw them as sophomores. That they were good. They were solid high school kids. There's a bunch of those. And really, it's because they had a real true roadmap and a lot of insight from collegiate coaches early enough to understand those three things. What are they looking for on the sideline, what they do best, and what they got to do with you, strength coach at their high school. Because again, it's a school win-lose society. That's the other thing before you go. But I want to talk about win-lose society at the end. But do you have other than camp? Do you have any questions like how to sign up? It's at uncommonbasketball.com, and there's plenty of spots, 25s to 27s, and if you want to bring a team of 7 or a group of 7 out of your select, then it could be some of your lesser select on a great program like Future or Hard Work. I mean, that's fine. If you want to see, I'm not. I mean, there's a lane, and great. I'm proud. I mean, nobody knew about DJ. You were at that camp. All those kids I listed, DJ Jordan were there, and I let him in. You could just see a closer. It ain't talent. You could see something, a drive. They were okay under duress. They were okay being corrected. I tell college coaches, don't accept anything from these kids that you wouldn't accept at your university. That's a disservice. The ones that want to learn are getting the real things here. This is awesome. So if it ain't a defensive stop you're going to accept in college, no, there's plenty of people that are going to pat backs and hug you and tell you how great you are. And you know what? At the end of their senior year, they go to the next best player. I will say that out loud. And I don't believe in that. I don't ever hurt a kid if he ain't ready, but I just kind of find those diamonds early. And a lot of them are doing well. That's my background as an evaluator. DJ just blew it up this weekend, but he was barely playing last year. It's just a matter of time. DJ Jordan's in my program.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about
100%.
Yeah. So he was at that camp you're at. But that's Wednesday. Sign up, register. You can give them more information on how to contact me personally. I don't care because I don't want to miss on a kid locally because this layout, man, is really, really good. People take this wrong. I'm from San Antonio for Austin and San Antonio kids, the market. It's really good. Some of the bigger markets, I mean, there's a lot of kids that can find a D2, an NAI, a JUCO, a D3 through this platform if I saw them early enough.
No doubt. And I'll kind of close it with this just to piggyback this. For those who may know me, you know that, number one, I don't speak about, put publicly about anything or connect myself or my program to anything that I don't believe in personally. My experience in coaching multiple camps now and with coach is that I love the truth that comes out of it. I love the honesty. And yeah, once in a while, kids' feelings does get hurt, but shoot, I'd rather their feelings get hurt if they can't handle the truth, and then they learn how to deal with that. That's the rest they got to figure out, right? And coach has done a wonderful job of that. Speaking to the staff he puts on in the gym with him, every person that's been part of his staff, I have learned something from myself while being at these camps, which I think is impeccable as well. And then look, if it's that good, my son is in this. My son, this will be his what? 3rd camp now, coach? 3rd camp.
And again,
My son's going to be there.
I
And
appreciate
you know
you
what?
being smart because we had some very constructive things for your son,
Yeah.
but it's through the lens of a college coach, man. He's a young kid, man, trying to make it, man. The earlier he continues, because habits are habits, and that takes me to the last point before you close. Because you had something on the phone you asked me to speak about, and you said just 3 keys at the end, something like, well, you know what? I don't know what is like. Just tell them something behind the scenes about the process. We talked about some things up here about knowing your market, but to me, I think 3 things you really need to know going into July that really matter. You said, what? Give them 3 things. What's your last question, Coach? And too many people don't understand this. They're going to really look hard, and it's like going to Pebble in a lake, man. When I get some seniors that are in the spring that come to my last camp, that I'm going to be inviting. You come to my last camp, you better know what's important, because at that point, your habits are your habits. We live in a win-lose society. You have to play select ball. I get it. They play a lot more. My fear is you play so much, you have to be really disciplined in what coaches really look at. If you really want to get on radars, if you're not already the D1 guy or the guy that people know in San Antonio, Austin, but you're a nice elite varsity player, you're hungry, or it's a win-lose society every week, and you go 2-2, 1-3, 3-1. What are your habits over this TABC weekend? Like, that shit's real. Like, if you're not on every radar, how are you winning without the ball in your hands? Are you everything that matters? So I'm really on the camp when I'm talking about exposing. Like, we have a section of the summer camp where the best leaders win. If you're the best point guard in San Antonio and you ain't the best leader, that little ripple in that lake by your senior year, sorry, you ain't stopping it. It's a fraternity. I mean, I'm still in that, and I'm stated, and I've grown it to uncommon. It hasn't grown my bank account like that showcase I saw, because, again, it's easier to trick a parent, and I'm trying to get results, and I'm trying to help coaches find more prepared players. I don't ever hurt a player, but those guys that are progressing in the program, they sign them, not me. I just match make based on fit at the end, and they're more prepared. I can't sell a prepared camp. The UC prepare your ass at camp, because I got to say exposure. The exposure is really spring. That's when you should be far enough along to get exposure, like gain exposure and not be exposed. So win, lose this weekend. Focus on your habits. If you're jogging half the game, if you're not talking, that's on you. And if you say how many coaches are there, know that they're writing that down and talking over there on coffee. Damn that kid. Even if you hit 27, no bullshit. If you hit 27 but you're losing and your team's losing, they're not, well, why not getting recruited? Well, you shot 32 shots to get 27. You got to win without the ball in your hands.
100%.
I mean, Coach Shed may bring his team down. He loves what I do. I ran into him by accident at Texas State. Look at his son. We talked about Jamal. I said, man, it was such a tragedy that he got hurt. I remember playing against Jamal my 2 years of coaching select, and that's only, like I said, because of what I told you that story. I don't need to get into it, but I said, man, somebody better draft him. I said, they win it all. But there's a prime example of he wasn't small or really – he increased his recruitment. That's an extreme example. But I remember when he was a sophomore, he won without the ball. There's been, if you do that and every kid controls that, that kind of gets you circled if you're not circling in the packet when you go in these live periods. If you don't know and you come to my camp Wednesday, then you'll get a little bit more clarity there. And then parents at the end, if you're trying to gain exposure and all that, I just tell you, with my background being D3, D2, NAI, and D1, I have a true understanding about two things: your level of play and what's the best fit. Both of those are going to matter. You need to have an understanding, because if you push it out, even the D2s, I was a D2 coach in my first year under the guys that just left Tech, Rick Cooper and Mark Adams. I'll never forget it, man. They were hellified coaches, man, and just big time. My first year, I thought I got 8 of the best players I worked. I was young, and they got rid of 5 of them. They didn't renew 5 players. And I remember him coming in and said, we're going to fire your ass, because that's the first time we won. We didn't win past 20 games. We were a 19-win season. And they were like, I was still very close to them because they were real. I was pissed. But guess what? That year, after that, they were high-level D2 players. I knew who fit Coach Cooper, and I knew tough, switch every screens, 6'5", and we won the league the next 2 years in the Lone Star. But I needed 1 year so that of saying, no, it's still a D2 guy, but that's the fit. This is what they do. I came from an up-tempo D3, so I was just going to get talent. So know your fit. Please, when you're going into the tournaments, if you're going to go 1-3, whatever you're doing, 1-3 or 3-1, it matters, because you're developing some habit, and strengths are easy to identify. Grandmas, not people with no experience, can identify an athlete or a shooter. College coaches are looking at that hard, and that you want that to ripple out while you're growing your game. That this kid works, he wins without the ball, great teammate. It's not on the board. Eventually, you got to get skilled enough, and but that keeps you on boards. And that, to me, guys, is what you got to really understand. I say, if you hear this or if you get this out there, coach, it's a big ass city. There's a lot of stuff. It's only 110. If you have a group, there's 20 spots. If you're serious about college basketball and you look and research me hard, go to my website and research the offers. They recruit kids. I'm just telling you the platform I created for both sides. And it's a good niche for me. And I just don't sell my relationships because that niche, it's a balance between both. That's the old call 5 guys for me. I don't know how prepared this guy is. It's good for me. It keeps me working hard to grow this, coach. So I appreciate your support. And you have still 4 or 5, I think 4 now, discounted rates to invite any player after this that may hit you up. Man, they're in. I give every coach on staff 5 discounted rates to help kids. And I usually tell them, man, help somebody. They don't have to be the best player in San Antonio. I don't give a shit about putting that on social media. Help somebody that's working the hardest right now. Anybody help somebody that you think is going to help themselves by getting an invite. And then in the spring, it will be invite only. But help that kid in the summer camp with your 4 invites, coach. You got 4 left, and we got spots.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up. I was leaving that to the end. But yes, I do have 4 spots. I do have some people I'm waiting on responses from, so it may not be 4 spots anymore by the time I check my phone. But if you're seriously interested in coming, you can't get the team group, 7 people together, and you would like a small discount to get in there, then yes, just DM me here on Instagram. I'll take care of you. I'll get you the link, and then we'll see you Wednesday. You know, regardless if you can get the discount or not, this is my testament. I just took 45 minutes out of my day after just training all day because I think it's that important for you guys to know about what this recruiting process is like, because I'm watching the blind lead the blind. And Coach V is a man who sees it, knows it, has been through it, and is educating and is doing it for the right reason, for the education. So be at the camp. If you're 27 or older, be at the camp. My son's going to be at the camp. That alone should tell you something, right? And think about it. My son's coming from the environment in our household where this is the stuff that's taught. This is the stuff that's known. A lot of you and your kids, if you're a parent or your parent or kid and your parents are engineers, doctors, lawyers, that's awesome. But at the same time, they don't have this knowledge. And I'm telling you, as the
And I will say
basketball
this, I'm
trainer, the
sorry,
person who has put 100 kids into school, that my son's going to be here. So if you want to get in, Coach, I want you to drop the URL to him one more time, or just DM me or DM Coach. We do have the discounted links left. We do have the group rates left. You should be at this. Nobody's promising you a scholarship out of it. But hell, I'll tell you this. If Wednesday, all that
I
comes
ain't
from my
glad to say
son
that,
for
though,
the
but even if
third
you
time,
say
hold on, Coach,
that,
because I want to get this off. Hold on, Coach, I want to get this
yeah.
off. Even if the third time, this is going to be the third time my son is there, and if the most he gets is more truth about the habits he needs to grow to get to that level, it's worth every freaking penny times 10. The truth is what is missing. The truth is what Coach V is great at, and the people he surrounds these kids around. And I think everybody that's eligible to be there, and I mean by age, should be there. So Coach is going to drop the website one more time, or DM one of us. Get in this camp on Wednesday. It is well worth your time, your kids' time, and let's make them better.
And
My son has already gotten better from the truths that Coach V has given him.
well,
My
again,
son
like
has
I
already
said,
improved.
I want to do this because I'm a San Antonio guy, man. I'll move heaven and earth to help our kids. I don't get, like I said, I'm not gonna say, but there's kids coming from Robert Vela High School. There's kids coming from Abilene, Texas. There's 2 signed up from Louisiana. I only have about 15 from San Antonio right now. Now we
It's
can talk
crazy.
the talk, man, but you know I keep telling you this behind closed doors. It ain't that I go to Houston and Dallas 'cause I like them more. I want you to understand this. Like, this is I'll move heaven and earth for a San Antonio player that now I can keep in contact with Coach Springer. I know I'm here. It makes no sense. I see the all-in-one sports in Houston for you. I go to Houston. My camps have no Dallas, no problem. Louisiana, San Antonio, and then they come at the very last minute, and I know they would have a shot. And so I'm going to challenge San Antonio players. Like I'm not in anybody's lane. I'm not stealing kids. I'm not going to train them. I'm not running select. It's a basketball exposure camp. And even if you said that, I always say, okay, let's say there's 40 signups and we walk in there and there's 4 college coaches. That's 4 to what? There's 4 coaches with 10. And 4 coaches that know 40 other people. Now you're getting a real look. That's exposure. That's a real opportunity. And I don't predetermine. our games are, you know, my layouts. The last thing I say, if you have a college ready strength and you're getting no looks and underrated, my camp's for you. If you're a badass defender and you say, then I have it. Then if you win the defensive portion, you're in my top game. I isolate the game so there's not 4 overcrowded courts hooping. Right? We get the best of the best winners into that last game. You have to win. So if you're the best player in San Antonio, which I think, and you don't win, it ain't going to kill you. It ain't going to hurt your recruitment. It's hopefully going to get you back to work because they have a much tougher problem when it's all
Yeah.
said and done to throw you money when you're a senior. But I've been blessed. I've had probably the most high school seniors signed in the last 2 years that are top prospects, and all that means is they passed the transition test, the college readiness test. That's it. They got to be talented enough, but you got to start early. I want to get my socials out. Uncommon, I ain't got near the following y'all. I don't get on there and do a good enough job. I got to get better at that, you know that. But uncommon_exposure is my Instagram if you want to DM me after this, or my Twitter's at UC Exposure. If you want to follow it or DM me for information, I'll send them an email, details. I'll call them, and we'll get them a sign up. But I got